Let's see. Can you guys all see me now? Can you all see me now? Sorry to make you guys wait a minute, but I thought it was worth it because I knew you guys would want to see this amazing little creature, which I have been waiting for a very, very long time. You guys, if you've watched today's video or if you follow this channel at all, you probably already know what this is, but this is a little baby captive bred emerald tree skink produced right here in Clint's reptile room, and I just love it. I love this thing so, so much. It's just such a magnificent little beast. And I can't wait to see how it turns out because the reality is, as you know, even the wild caught adults that we have, and I've got 3 of them here, and I might be getting another trio soon of long-term captives that somebody has that they need to rehome. They're unbelievable. They're unbelievable. It's hard to imagine how a lizard could become a better pet even than a wild caught one, but I can tell you, generally speaking, captive bred animals, not only are they more responsibly sourced and generally healthier than wild caught, but their personalities tend to be better. How do you get better than an emerald tree skink? We will find out. We are going to find out here because this little guy is our very first, and hopefully there will be many more after this. But I'm so excited about this guy and could not wait to show him to you. I'm also just super excited about. We've got so many cool things to show you. If you look back here, you'll notice we have almost completed our pretty awesome display from Toad Ranch Reptiles. We've got one more enclosure to complete. There's some really cool stuff living in there. Raptor is right back here. This won't be her forever home, but it was the biggest enclosure I had just available. You can actually see her. She's just right there. She's such a good girl. I love Raptor. And I have the biggest thing we have ever gotten here at Clint's Reptile Room, and I think we're going to have time to pull her out and show her to you today because she's pretty amazing. I've got some animals. I've got a trio of animals that came to us from C&B Reptiles down in Phoenix, Arizona. That they're the first 3 I've ever seen in my life in person, but I've wanted to see them for years and years since I first found out they existed. I've got zebra skinks up over my shoulder. There's so much exciting stuff going on here. I've got other babies. We just had a baby gargoyle gecko hatch out. Let me know if you'd like to see that here in a little bit. We've got the baby keeled-bellied lizards that just had. There is so much going on here at Clint's Reptile Room. And as the pandemic's letting up, we're finally getting to actually function the way that the room was originally supposed to function. And so there's so much to be excited about. But obviously also, there are some things that we're very worried about right now in the reptile hobby, especially here in the United States, but these things have a tendency to kind of spread. And so I definitely want to talk to you guys about that today in a big way because there's a couple of things that you can do. One of them during this live stream and one of them in a relatively short period of time that can make a huge difference, a huge difference. And so let's crack into that just a little bit. A couple of live streams back, we discussed the America Competes Act, which is an act of Congress that really has nothing to do with our hobby, except for the fact that slipped into the America Competes Act are some amendments to the Lehi Act, which would essentially, it would just decimate the reptile hobby in this country. It would weed the entire hobby down effectively to the populations of animals being bred in your state, because it would become illegal to move almost all reptile species across state lines. The only ones that would still be allowed would be those on a government-created whitelist. So that is a list that is all-encompassing of the animals you can move, and all animals not on that list would be de facto banned, at least from interstate transportation. And this would affect, just everything. It would just bring most of the reptile hobby to an absolute grinding halt, which is totally fine, according to many people, but not according to me. Right? Like this matters to me. This is a major thing, and in a lot of cases, the ability to move animals between states and countries even is a lot of the reason that our populations are able to remain diverse, and in some situations, able to preserve those animals where in the wild their habitat has been destroyed, and they're only surviving effectively because of captive populations. There are some species. In fact, we've got a video coming out very soon on the axolotl. Axolotls, for example, are all but extinct in the wild, and they almost certainly will go completely extinct in the relatively near future. In captivity, though, there is a huge and thriving population of them, and you get this sort of situation relatively often. Anyway, I don't want to go on too long about the America Competes Act specifically. I want to talk today, and if you do want to find out more, go back to live streams. We talk about it in great detail. Today I want to talk about what you can do right now, because right now is the most important time there has ever been for dealing with the consequences of the America Competes Act. And so let's discuss it, because one of the things that you can do, and it's something that I want to encourage you to do right this minute, is go over to the US ARC YouTube channel and subscribe.
I just posted a link.
Yeah, Jason just put a link here in the chat. Go over to the US ARC YouTube channel and subscribe to the channel. The reason that this matters so much, right now they have roughly 5,000 subscribers. US ARC in the United States is our biggest advocate. These are the people who keep an eye out for this sort of legislation going through, and they lobby on our behalf. And they mobilize us. They're so important, and they do have a big influence in the reptile hobby. But if our representatives in the government go to look up US ARC, how are they going to see how big and important this is? And so recently, just within the last week and a half or so, we released a video on the US ARC channel explaining a little bit about why it's so important to go over there and subscribe. We want them to get over there and notice a huge number of subscribers. Enough so they go, this isn't just a few fringe weirdos. This is a whole lot of fringe weirdos. And maybe this isn't what we thought it was. Because we are a diverse and big and passionate community. We're not just a few strange people in our basement that just want to bring a snake to the park. Of course we want to bring a snake to the park, but that's because snakes are rad, and an increasing number of people are finding out about that, and we want our leaders to be able to see that. So please go over and subscribe if you're watching this live. If not, Jason's going to be keeping a tally.
We are already getting a bump. When we started this live stream, their subscribers were at 5.15K. Right now, it is currently sitting at 5.23K.
Hey, thank you guys so much. Just keep doing that. And I'll remind you at various times during the stream, in case you're joining us later, get over there, subscribe on the US ARC channel. So that's thing number one that you can do. The other thing is that right now, the America Competes Act is in conference committee. This is a committee formed of members of the House and the Senate where they try to reconcile the two bills that were produced, one in the House, one in the Senate, and create kind of a finalized version of the bill. This is a moment where the Lacey Acts can and should be removed from the bill. They have nothing to do with the rest of this bill. And so all along, ever since we've been talking about this, was a good time to contact your senators or your representatives. Now is the perfect time to do so. And on the US ARC webpage, you can even find a list of the people on the conference committee. So in Utah, there is one member of the House of Representatives, Representative Moore from Utah. And so yesterday, I wrote to him specifically so that I can communicate to him about the importance of this. And on the USARK page, there's all sorts of details about what your letters can look like. They've got all kinds of samples. Mostly you just want to be respectful and just let them know that get that out of there. This matters to you, and so go on that list. Find, if you're in the United States, find your representative, a representative from your state that's on that conference committee if possible, and write to them. If not, contact your senators, contact your House of Representatives members. These will be at the federal level, not your state senators or your state House members, because even if they're not on the conference committee, they know the people on the conference committee, and they might be, hey, my constituency is very concerned about this. Can you guys take a look at these Lacey Act amendments in the America Competes Act? But now is the time to make a change. They wanted to have this done and finalized before their 4th of July break. I don't think they accomplished that. But it will come in the really, really near future. That's when it's going to come out of this conference committee. Now is the time to act. So right now, no matter where you live, anywhere on the planet, go subscribe to the USARK YouTube channel. And after this stream, go to the USARK page. There's all sorts of frequently asked questions. They've got all the resources you're going to need to, in a relatively short period of time, be able to contact your representatives and make a change. And so I will remind you about all of this stuff for people joining late. But that's what I wanted to say about this. This is just, it's so important because now is the moment, and we can take action, and a lot of this is very easy to do, but it can make a really, really big difference. Jason, let's get to a couple questions. I'm going to put this emerald tree skink away. I have a lot of other stuff I want to show you guys. So Jason, you bring those up. Everybody sit tight. In fact, take this moment to go over and subscribe to the USARK YouTube channel.
I will post the link one more time.
Yeah.
Do we want to do Patreon questions?
I will take any question. Did Anthony have a question?
Anthony did have a super chat.
Oh! Here, somebody complained about me saying super chat. Now, Jason always laughs, which makes me love doing it, and I wanted to make sure I had my button. Which is it on the set? I might need to go. I'll take a peek for it the next time I get up.
Okay.
But I will take any source of questions.
Some people are asking what foreigners can do about all this.
Okay, so that is a great question. So Will was just telling me that a lot of people were asking, what can you do if you're not from the United States? I would say that the biggest thing that you can do is support the USARK YouTube channel. Because when they see that subscriber count, it doesn't say where you're from, right? And the reality is, if USARK is thriving and the reptile hobby is thriving in the United States, that matters everywhere in the world. And I'm hoping that in the same way that you're coming to our aid during this time, where we here in the United States are struggling, that when similar things happen in other parts of the world, the whole global reptile community can come together and support you as well. So yeah, it starts there, I'd say. That's the biggest thing. If you have other suggestions, please throw those up in the chat as well. Giddy up.
Okay, Anthony Simone.
Anthony and I we're going to have a face-to-face this Tuesday. In case you guys don't know, you can visit Clint's Reptile Room virtually, and we hang out for an hour or half an hour and just chat about whatever. We look at whatever animals you'd like to see. We have a really good time. Anthony has done this a great deal. In fact, just over here, you can't see it where the camera is right now, but just right next to me is the piano dedicated to Anthony. And I'm looking forward to you coming here someday to play, Anthony. Anyway, I'm super excited.
So, Anthony sent a super chat.
Super chat!
Yep. Saying, welcome back to live streaming, my friend. My girlfriend and I hope to get out to Utah at some point this year. Money is a little tight, but I'll always support the room and yourself, my friend.
You're amazing, Anthony. I'm hoping to get out to New York one of these days, someday. And so I appreciate all that you do for us, but I am super duper excited for whenever you can make it out here.
He just sent another super chat.
Oh!
Super chat!
Saying, so my friend, Did you happen to watch the Apple TV Plus documentary, Prehistoric Planet? If so, what do you think? In my opinion, it is the most accurate portrayal of dinosaurs ever produced.
So I don't have Apple TV Plus, but I might need to look into how I get Apple TV Plus. I don't even know if I haven't. What do you need to get?
You need an Apple device.
I do have Apple devices.
Maybe that's it, and a subscription to Apple TV.
Okay, well I can subscribe for a month and binge some dinosaur
Some
content.
dino.
I gotta tell you guys. Okay, maybe I'll go ahead and give a spoiler. This isn't something that's happening. It's something I'm considering. We've done one video principally about extinct dinosaurs. We've done several videos on extant dinosaurs, and this one was on the phylogenetic analysis of the Maniraptoran dinosaurs, with a hook about telling you which was the Maniraptoran dinosaur that's in Jurassic Park, since it's not Velociraptor, and that has actually been our most viewed video that we've put out for a long time, and which fills me with unspeakable joy, because these videos where we dig into a clade are maybe my favorite videos that we do. I love them so much. One of the things that I love about them is I learn so much while I'm researching them, and I love discovering the things I never knew and discovering an animal that I never knew about. One of my favorite things in the world. And so seeing that kind of a reaction to a video about dinosaurs, which my knowledge of dinosaurs kind of plateaued like when I was in middle school. I was super into dinosaurs when I was little, and then I was like, I might not ever see a live dinosaur, and I kind of got into other animals. My knowledge of other animals has grown tremendously. My knowledge of dinosaurs has largely plateaued until like maybe my son was born and he started getting into dinosaurs. I'm like, what? The dinosaurs! And so I love dinosaurs. I want to learn so much more about dinosaurs, and I want to share so much more about dinosaurs. One thing I have noticed is that one of the crazy things about this video is like more than 80% of the people that have watched it are not regular viewers of this channel. And so it's brought in a ton of new people, which I'm very excited about. But it almost seems like our existing community, I don't know if you guys are excited about dinosaurs or not. If you're as excited about learning about dinosaurs as I am, I would love to do something that I would call Dinosaur December, where I would do a whole December of red dinosaur content. But not if you guys don't really actually care about that. I'll pace myself. I'll trickle out dinosaur stuff because I want to talk about dinosaurs, but I won't just, I'm wearing a dinosaur tie that somebody sent me, no big deal. I love the dinosaurs. I love that I'm getting to learn about them again, and my knowledge is expanding. And so if that's the kind of thing you guys are interested in, please let me know. But if it's like, yeah, a dinosaur video from time to time is fine, but I don't want a whole Dinosaur December. So anyway, this is me talking about the possibility of a Dinosaur December, but I want to know what you think about it. Anyway, yeah.
Good. Okay, we've gotten a few more super chats rolling in.
Oh wait, I'm not supposed to yell it.
Who is that recording? Is that
It's me.
That's you?
Originally, it was recorded by the people that sent the super chat button, but at some point, it got erased, and so I had to replace it with my own super chat voice. But you don't laugh as hard when I hit the button.
I don't. It doesn't do it for me.
And yeah, and it's one of the great sources of joy in my life to watch Jason laugh so hard at the super chat every time.
Okay. Mr. and Mrs. Moralia. Did I pronounce? I don't know the right pronunciation.
That's all right.
Okay. Says, let's hear super chat.
Super chat! It works every time.
Glad to see you back on a live stream. Congrats on the baby emeralds.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited about that. Here, while you get this next question, I'm gonna get the baby gargoyle. Here you go. Cause it's so cute. Let's see if I can find it. Oh, there he's on the ceiling. Of course. Oh,
Just so you know, a lot of people are pretty excited about Dinosaur in December.
Dinosaur December has some support?
Yeah.
Well, I gotta tell you, I'm pretty excited about the idea of Dinosaur December. Look at this little cutie! Whoop! Got him. He just hatched out here at Clint's Reptile Room very recently, and he's gonna be a stunner. Hang on.
He's a
He is a jumper, though. He's not totally crazy, but he doesn't jump constantly, but he's an into space jumper, which is one of the more exciting kinds of jumpers that you can be. But he's gonna be stunning. He's gonna be stunning. Very, very orange when he's an adult and super high contrast. And he's just cute as a button. He does vocalize at me a little. Oh, he's gonna do some eyeballics. You gonna lick your eyeball? Anyway, I love him. I love him. He'll be looking for a new home here in about a month. Seems like there are a lot of people who are wanting gargoyle geckos. And I can see why. Because I don't like breeding them as much as I like breeding crested geckos. Because I have a lower hatch out rate and stuff. But as pets go, I think they're even better. I adore them.
It's almost like we have a head-to-head with Crested.
We should do that. We did years and years ago. I like that. It's a goodie. Little baby Garg. Isn't he cute? Okay.
Okay. We have another super chat from Nicholas Satrang.
Okay, wait. I need to respond appropriately.
Oh, good.
Super chat!
Ready.
Nicholas Sattering says, thank you for keeping this issue at the forefront of everyone's mind. I'm assuming the laws. It is so important that we all come together and show the strength of our hobby/industry.
That I think is extremely well put, and that's what we need to show. Everybody, we just need to stand up together and be considerate and and polite but also just show how many of us there are and how much it matters to us.
We have another super chat from John E. O'Gara. He said, we want to visit on Saturday, 11/12, so I'm guessing November 12th. Will y'all be open?
The 12th. We won't be open for walk-in hours, but it may be possible to schedule an appointment for them. So go to our website and contact us, and just see if that date's available for a private event. And I'd be happy to. I would love to see you guys when you come here. Our normal walk-in hours are Monday and Friday evenings. So those are the days that you can just come and show up anytime after 5 p.m., 5 to 9.
Okay, we got another super chat.
Super chat!
From Anthony again.
Anthony!
It says, so my friend, if you could update any videos regarding animals that are at the time the video was made, weren't being produced captive bred, but now are, which ones would you like to update?
That is a really, really great question. And there are, so Peter's banded skinks are one that I know some people have been producing, and we've discovered as a result of this that they are not live bears, they're egg layers. So that's one that you can definitely get more easily now as a captive bred individual. I haven't even done this video actually, but Draco flying dragon lizards. Frank Payne has been producing those now, and so that's pretty amazing. Let's see, what are some others that were really difficult to get captive bred when we made a video about them? Well, it seems that Creatures of Nightshade, Scarlet Nightshade, is at least getting locks from her dragon snakes. So, and a lot of these are ones that I promised you in the future they would be available in captive bred. Just wait for it. They're starting to get there. There are other reasons too that I've considered updating some videos. Sometimes, I've learned new things. Some of our earliest videos, I'm always considering like revisiting, and like what would you guys think of that? If it's been 5 years since we created our crested gecko, the best pet lizard video, for example. That was our very first video of that format that we ever made. Do you think you'd like to see us revisit that topic, or is it like, I don't think enough is going to change to make it worth seeing? I don't know. But there's a lot of them that are like that. That's a great question. I'll think, if I think of any others, I'll spout them out as we go.
Quality-wise, we've improved significantly.
Yeah,
since.
and we probably still have a long way to go, but my gosh, some of those early videos are almost unwatchable for me. I was just today, I was looking at, I wasn't even watching it, but the top 5 for beginners, top 5 reptiles for beginners, which was our very first video we ever made. I find it almost unwatchable. And it's our most viewed video we've ever had. And I was looking at the views on it and how it's done over time, and I'm like, still tons of people watch it, and I'm like, but it's a little lower than it was at one point, and I'm like, well, how do I get more people to watch it? I'm like, I don't even know if I want people to watch it. It's so bad. But the content is good, but our sound, we've come a long way with sound, and then just my ability to actually look at the camera. Because I was always doing stuff like I'm doing right now, where I look over at Will or Michelle, or I look at Jason. I get their response. I'm doing that constantly in that video, and it's so distracting. My apologies. I think we've come a long way.
Okay, we got another super chat from Intrepid Exotics. They say, curious, do you have any input on resources/studies that could be referenced and presented in support of efforts to reverse the Argentine tegu ban here in North Carolina that goes into effect in August?
Okay, so studies that would matter for reversing the Argentine tegu ban in North Carolina. I don't, because that's not something I've researched myself extensively. USARK might have some resources on that. As far as bans like that go, I actually find a ban in North Carolina would make more sense than a ban in Florida. Even though there is a ban in Florida, and there's an invasive population in Florida, and the reason for it in Florida is because they've got this invasive population and they don't want them. The problem is once a population is established somewhere, releasing even large numbers of additional individuals into that population doesn't make much of a difference. They're there and they're established, unless you've got a plan to actually eradicate them, which is actually much more difficult than you'd think. We're so good at driving things to extinction, but with the exception of really large animals that have pretty small populations even when they're thriving, we're actually pretty bad at driving things to extinction unless we just destroy all suitable habitat for them. That's how we do it. We're really good at that. But if you've got something like lampreys in the Great Lakes, or cane toads in Australia, or iguanas or Burmese pythons or tegus or cats in Florida, we're actually really not good at getting rid of them without just destroying all the suitable habitat for them. And so you could unload a truckload of 30,000 green iguanas into the Everglades, and it would make no difference really as far as that population goes. So you might as well be able to keep them there. Here in Utah, we've actually got a pretty reasonable law, I think, which is the only mantis species we're allowed to have are European mantises and Asian mantises, not because they couldn't become invasive, but because they're already established here. And what are you going to do at this point? Now, there are a lot of mantises that couldn't become established, and that's where you might have something to stand on in North Carolina, because the reality is, and you'd need to, and studies may or may not exist. I'm sure there's some data at least about temperature and just climate data in the range of Argentine tegus. And so the question is North Carolina a suitable habitat for Argentine tegus year-round, or is it not? If it is, then I'm going to tell you there probably is no legislation, or no research, no papers that are going to allow you to refute or try to stop the ban. And in fact, they would probably support the justification for the ban if you find those papers. However, if it's not, and I just don't know, if it's not, then there is no reason really that Argentine tegus should be banned in North Carolina. North Carolina as delightful as the climate is, it's not the Florida Everglades. It's different. And if if it gets sufficiently cold in the winters that the tegus can't survive there year round, then people can release tegus and they'll have a great summer, but they're not going to make it, and they can't become invasive. And I just don't know. I just don't know.
All right, another super chat.
Super chat!
Oh.
See, you gotta do. I'm sorry, the one guy that complained. It makes him laugh every time, and I can't. You gotta do it.
Actually, before I get to the super chat, Javi Strange Pets said, "Can you please do a beta fish video?"
A beta fish video. What a fascinating suggestion, and one that we will very much consider doing in the really near future.
Okay, super chat from All Canadian Reptile Girl.
Oh, my doppelganger, my Canadian doppelganger.
She says, "Thank you for keeping this serious reptile issue in the spotlight. We should all be supporting USARK. There's CanHerp Canada. I support both."
Absolutely, and that's the thing, and especially if you are Canadian, as the all-Canadian reptile girl very well may be.
She's not, I was thinking maybe she's like a partial.
Yeah, there's just something about her, though, that gives me the feeling that she might actually
She's
be.
all Canadian.
She's all Canadian. Yeah, she's not the half Canadian reptile girl. But and that's the thing, especially if you're Canadian. Of course, support your Canadian equivalents of USARK, but really all of us should do our best to support as many of these communities as we can, just to show what a big community we really are. Because we're not just a few weirdos anymore, we're tons of weirdos.
So many.
So many weirdos. My
let's-
kind of weirdos.
Your kind of weirdos. That's in reference to what? What, Clint?
That might be in reference to the video we just released less than 2 weeks ago on the USR channel that you should totally check out. And while you're there checking out that video, definitely subscribe to the USR channel. Where are we right now with that? Do you?
Okay, hang on.
Have
let
any
me post-
updates?
Let me post the link and then I'll update.
Okay. I want to know where the. Secretly, like, I'm hoping they can beat at least 10,000 subscribers by the end of the day, but
That might be a tall order.
might be a reach. But do it! Just do it!
So we started the live stream with USARK having 5.15 thousand subscribers. We are currently at 5.32 thousand subscribers.
Thank you. Thank you guys for doing that.
3-3.
All right.
We're making a dent.
Giddy up.
Okay, we have another super chat from Anthony Simone.
Super chat!
He says, "So, my friend, I've always been interested in keeping a tomato frog.
Oh, yeah.
Any advice about their care would be greatly appreciated."
That is a really neat frog, and it seems like we do pretty well with them in captivity. I will need to dig into them a little bit more in the future, because I should really do a whole video on them. They're very cool, and so I don't know that I have any really unique special recommendations at this point. In a lot of ways, like the stuff that we said about African bullfrogs, a lot of that is going to cross over, but I'll try to add them to my list of videos to do in the near future so that I can get a little more detail for you.
James Pike sent a super chat saying, "Clint is super rad, and he apologizes for not having more to donate."
Well, hey, do not worry about that at all. You guys have done so much for us. Our supporters on Patreon, I don't think you guys understand what a big deal that is for us being able to do this, because in a lot of ways, these things that I'm doing personally, to the reptile room, to create the channel, they make it very difficult for me to pursue, in a major way, other pursuits that I like university teaching and stuff, and so. This channel really matters to us, being able to keep putting out content like this, and Patreon is a huge part of what allows us to do it, and especially try experiments that we don't know if people like it or not, but it's the stuff we want to share, and so we're discovering more of the things that you guys are interested in as well. And so that makes a huge difference. But we recognize like not everybody can support us in that way. And I mean, I've been a graduate student most of my adult life. I haven't had that kind of money for, supporting a lot of the creators, say with Patreon that I would like to support. But just being here makes a big difference. Just subscribing to this channel, subscribing to USARC, all of these things make a big difference. So thank you so much.
While we're on the subject of Patreon, let's tell them about one of the perks that we do for our Patreon subscribers, which is these questions.
Yeah! So one of the things that we do for our patrons is we let them know that there's a live stream upcoming, and we allow them to submit questions, kind of in the week leading up to that, and we answer all of those questions during the live stream. And so that's something we always make sure we do. Because obviously, I mean, we just get too many questions to answer every question that comes through, but we make sure we get every Patreon question that was asked. And I don't see them in advance, so I still get ambushed by them.
Which is the funnest part. Okay.
You want to do a few of those?
Well, we'll see. Let's see. Eric Wall, a patron, asks the question, I'm starting to target train my white throat monitor.
Good idea.
How long do you think this will take? I have a really hard time reading his body language versus my Aki, who is really easy. Also, will you ever do a white throat monitor video? I know they are overshadowed by their larger cousins.
So we probably will do a white throat monitor video. I have a friend who was breeding them, but I think he might have gotten rid of his group. I'm not sure. So I'll have to see what things look like for me to be able to track down a white throat monitor. But as for the target training, that is a smart and pretty darn food motivated lizard. I would imagine if you know what you're doing with the target training and you're very consistent about it, you can probably have a monitor like that trained in like a week, maybe less. Gus, it took me 2 feedings to switch his target from one target to another. That I had to hold them together 2 times. I don't even know if it required the 2 times. I did it 2 times, and then he understood that the new target was a target. He's very, very smart, and white throat monitors are comparably smart. And so I would say not very long at all. And we do have a full video on the target training of Gus, so if you do have any questions about kind of the methodology for that, go ahead and check that one out.
We have another patron question from Smeagol. I knew you were going to do a voice. What are your thoughts on snake eels? They're like sea snakes / crates, except they won't kill you. I have 2, a banded, which is a sea snake mimic, and a gold spotted, and they're so entertaining, peaceful, and fairly easy for saltwater.
Trying to think what those look like exactly. I know a lot of the like ribbon eels and all the various morays. As far as what the snake eel is specifically, I don't know. But you'll notice we have been delving somewhat into fresh and saltwater fish. I've actually purchased my first saltwater aquarium, so I can start working with saltwater myself and getting that down so that someday I might be able to live my dream of having an epaulet shark or other comparably rad shark. And so I will have to look into these snake eels specifically because I'm always looking for cool stuff like that to cover. I will tell you, a good friend of mine recently got some of my very favorite freshwater fish, and I'm excited to share them with you. I'll tell you about a couple of them. So one of them are the Bashirs, which are rad, prehistoric. They look like sea lizards. They're so cool. And they swim principally by not using their caudal fin. They mostly use their pectoral fins to propel themselves through the water, which automatically makes you one of my favorite fishes. And then another one that swims principally with not its caudal fin that I just adore these are black ghost knives. I would very much like to cover these in the future because they're incredible rad fish. And so expect more fish content. But yeah, the beta video, we should really consider doing that.
That is, man, smart.
If only we could film that a few weeks ago, then we wouldn't have to wait so long.
It's still pretty far, right now, it's still pretty far out on the schedule. But
Okay.
But yeah, if only we filmed it a few weeks ago.
If only.
Okay, Jacob Huser
Jacob!
on Patreon said, what do you think are the factors that make many lay people resist some points of phylogenetic classification, like birds being reptiles? How much a part of this is the use of categorical definitions as prescriptive, e.g., birds are reptiles, because dinosaurs, from which aves are descendants, are reptiles, versus descriptive, e.g., birds are not reptiles because they don't fit the criteria for what I consider a reptile to be. What steps could be taken when educating the public to overcome this resistance to phylogenetic classification?
That was a long question, but a great question, one I enjoyed very thoroughly. And so just to kind of sum it up a little bit, I did notice the first time we ever made a video about birds, and I titled it "The Best Pet Reptile," I discovered that there are a lot of people that are staunch advocates for the Linnaean taxonomy. And I mean, I didn't know that phylogenetics were so controversial outside of, I mean, like, you've got people that reject evolutionary biology wholesale, and you know, like, they're not gonna like phylogenetic analysis, but yes, the concept that birds are reptiles, or that snakes are lizards, or that tortoises are turtles, these are things that I have mentioned to you because they're nested right within those clades. One thing that I think people struggle with when I see a lot of the comments is like, they're like, well, I think birds are sufficiently different from the other reptiles that they should be their own thing. And what I think they're not recognizing is that nobody's saying that they're not their own thing. Birds are birds, and birds are sufficiently different from the other reptiles to be classified as their own thing. Birds, right? So birds are real, despite some controversy about that topic. Birds are a thing. They are a real clade, but they're nested within a bigger clade, which would be the reptiles. And that's what I think a lot of people don't realize, is that we're talking about a nested hierarchy. So the fact that I refer to you as a human, that doesn't preclude you from also being a mammal. And the fact that you're a mammal doesn't preclude you from also being a vertebrate. And the fact that you're a vertebrate doesn't preclude you from also being an animal, for example. You know, like, you can be all of those things at once. And if I refer to you as Jacob specifically, all right, then I'm being very specific about who you are. All of these others are much broader, right? If I refer to you as a mammal, that tells me a little bit about you, but not as much as if I say that you're a human. And even that doesn't tell me nearly as much as if I say that you're Jacob. And people don't, I think a lot of times people miss that. They don't realize that when I say that it's a reptile, that doesn't mean that I'm saying it's not a bird. And so that's one of the things that I've noticed so far. I think there's more to it than that. You know, people resist the new always to some degree, and a lot of people don't understand how to interpret phylogenies. So that's why over on the Clint Explains channel we made a big video about that. And you know, honestly, I've considered making a similar video here on Clint's Reptiles. So if you guys, especially as we're doing more videos on phylogenies, would like to see us make a video explaining how to interpret phylogenies right here on Clint's Reptiles, let me know, because I would love to do it.
All Canadian Reptile Girl is also a patron over on Patreon, and she asked this question: I will be doing several live educational reptile shows for day camps in my area this summer.
Very cool.
What tips do you have in managing a large number of kids during a show? Most are about 30 kids, but biggest group is 80.
Okay, I just the other day did my largest presentations I've ever done outside of maybe lecture halls when teaching. but I mean, it was hundreds of people, and it's hard. It's hard when you've got a group that big. I will tell you, just having live animals present is very engaging, and so you have an advantage of the fact that people are seeing these animals, they want to be seeing these animals, and they're curious about them. They want to know about them. So I would say one of the biggest things is try not to just be telling them the answers to questions that nobody's asking. Try to get them to be wondering about specific things and then answer the questions that they have effectively, even if they're not, you don't need to necessarily tell them to tell you their questions, but kind of bring up curiosities about the animals in order to get them to want to know the answers you're about to tell them. My entire undergraduate education was learning the answers to questions nobody was asking. It's incredible to me that people can suck the fun out of what is the coolest subject in the world to learn about, but it is possible. And I don't think you do that because you're great as a presenter, but that's one thing to be very cognizant of. One thing I've really learned from my wife, Leisha, who's a kindergarten teacher, and just great with kids all around. One thing is don't try to get louder than they are. All right, if a group of kids starts to get loud, don't try to shout over them. Get really quiet. When you start talking quietly, people start going shh, shh. They're silencing each other because they want to know what you're saying. The louder you get, the louder they'll get. But if you get quiet, they get quiet.
Okay, let's pause from Patreon and switch back and catch up on some of the super chats
Super chats!
that have been coming in.
Super chat pause!
We have a super chat from Fat Mario Head Gaming.
All right.
Is it possible you can do another parrot review for Dinosaur December? Thank you for everything you do.
I see no reason at all that a parrot review couldn't be part of Dinosaur December. I think that's a glorious idea. And in fact, I have several parrots in mind that I would be interested in covering. Macaws, African greys, cockatoos, also sun conures and green cheek conures. Let's see if there are too many others off the top of my head. Those are some of them that have stood out to me a lot. Cockatiels. So there are a lot of red parrots that I would be very enthusiastic about talking about. If you guys have a preference, please let me know.
I saw there was like a billboard for a parrot-only shop up in Salt Lake City, which I find intriguing. That they only specialize in parrots, which is interesting.
And that their acronym is POS.
What?
Parrot Only Shop.
Oh, good.
WTF. Well, that's fantastic.
Good. Okay, Mick has a super chat saying, any good Schneiders / Berber skink breeders out there? All I see online are wild-caught juveniles or adults, which sucks because they seem amazing.
That's what I see also, and I agree with you. They do seem amazing, but I think there are people working with them. So I don't know any, but if you know some, please tell me about them and tell us all about them right now, and definitely give them a monster shout out. By the way, if you're looking for a Dumerril's boa, I know Great Basin Serpentarium just got a big litter, and they've got all kinds of other cool stuff going on too, but Dumerril's boas.
Let's see. Patrick Dane sent a super chat saying, just wanted to say you helped me reconnect my teenage obsession with reptiles in my 30s. It's meant the world reconnecting with this fascination, and just wanted to say a genuine thanks. Keep fighting.
You are so very welcome, and I feel that because in my 30s I have rediscovered my excitement for dinosaurs. And not that I was ever not excited about dinosaurs, but like a real passion for learning about them, for making that a priority in my life. And So I know what it feels like to get a rad passion back, and I'm so glad we could be part of that.
Tess Wright sent a super chat saying, "Can you do a pink tongue skink video? Thanks for all you do."
Can and did. That was actually one of our, I don't know what necessarily one of our earliest videos, but we did it several years ago, a video on pink tongue skinks. They sure are neat. They've had a special place in my heart ever since then and even before then. I do have something really, really big I want to show them. But maybe I'll wait just a minute. Maybe I'll show them something I'd never seen in person before they arrived, or another really cool looking. Who needs a name? And also, I have a yellow anaconda that needs a name. She needs a name. I think I might have a name for a more recent, even bigger snake, but a yellow anaconda, she needs a name. She needs a name. Should I go get her?
Sure.
Yeah, you should look at her and think about a name for her. Oh. Running, running, running. I need a snake hook. Ready.
All right, Mr. and Mrs. Moralia say, "Show us something."
Okay.
Gayleen's
Always one step ahead of me.
Gayleen says, "Yay, snake time!"
Giddy up. She's under the water bowl just to make it as easy as possible. Oh, she's wonderful.
Everybody's excited for the snake.
Isn't she beautiful? Isn't she glorious? So, this girl, I don't know if you guys recall, but she came from she was in a little bit of rough shape when I first got her, and she was definitely very afraid of people. She would strike at people across the room. Like, if she saw movement from somebody way far away, she'd strike out at them. She'd be striking back at my face. And, as much as I don't want that from a snake that's going to be one of the largest snakes that we have, and one of the few animals big enough to kill me, it wasn't necessarily unexpected. Yellow anacondas have sort of a reputation, as it were, for not being the friendliest of creatures. And anyway, though, we put just a couple months of really good work into her. I never got bitten on skin. She did bite a leather glove I was wearing one time, and she struck at my face many times while I was holding her. But fortunately, she never struck at the branch she was on, and she was too small at the time to reach my face, I guess. Right now she could. She's put on some serious size. She was, like I said, she was in kind of rough shape. Her skin was really dry and weird, and so I fed her fairly heavily at first to get her through several shed cycles to kind of fix up her skin, and she's looking really good. She had a sebaceous cyst. It's right here on her neck, but that's shrunk down quite a lot. Anyway, she's looking really good, and her behavior is awesome. I can give her to children now, and I tell them to be extra careful with her, but she is not. She hasn't done anything aggressive in like 6 months. She's just become a really, really, really amazing snake, and honestly, one of my favorite animals that we have here. I have fallen for her hard. I love this snake. We do need to do a video on yellow anacondas, but I'm reluctant to do it with her because I do want you to know how big they can get, and she's not fully grown. But she needs a name, and it needs to be perfect. So
The name ideas are streaming
they're
in.
streaming.
Are you ready to hear them?
I want to hear some.
So far, something very popular, and Will can fill me in if I miss any, is pineapple. That's been very popular. We got
That's not bad.
banana. We got
Banana bread.
bread.
Tigress.
Ophelia.
Wendy.
Banana pudding.
Anna Banana.
Banana.
And a banana.
Amber.
Wendy.
Nagini.
Amber. Oh yeah, you said it.
Nagini, like it.
Pineapple's pretty popular.
Pineapple is a cute name. And that's one of the things, for a big intimidating snake, having a very adorable name, I very much approve of that.
Goldilocks.
We have a super chat name.
Oh.
Citrine.
Citrine, what is that?
So,
Where does that come from?
Sharon Anderson says, name her Citrine.
And she did a super duper chat.
It was a super duper chat for Citrine. Can somebody look up Citrine and see what that comes from? Because I often need a story just so I can remember the name, because that's the way my memory works. Isn't she lovely?
What's the story behind you remembering my name?
Your name?
Yeah.
I don't know. It probably took a while. I do have a really, really good friend from my childhood whose name is Jason. And I don't know if I ever linked you to, or if I just, if I don't have a stupid way to remember it, then it takes me a really long time and a lot of exposure to you before I'll remember your name, and maybe that's what happened.
So citrine is an amber-colored gemstone associated with November.
Some other ones coming in is Chiquita.
Chiquita.
Sattler, Banana Pie.
Sattler, like Ellie's last name?
Yeah, I think so. Banana Pie, Goldilocks. Gemstone, Yellow Jewel.
Big Chungus.
Big Jungus.
Jewel.
Leopard.
I've always kind of liked the artist Jewel, and I kind of like the name. And Leisha and I are expecting a little girl here in the very near future. And so I said, Leisha, what do you think of the name Jewel? And she said, nah. So it is available for a snake. That's not a bad one. I kind of like that. Kind of like that. But I like a lot of these.
I like Chiquita Banana.
Chiquita's cute. Just that.
Yeah.
Chiquita. And that means like little girl in Spanish, and she is not going to be a little girl, and I like that. Chiquita. I like that a lot, actually. She's from Latin America. She's not a chiquita.
Banana Conda.
She's a chicasa. Banana conda. Isn't she wonderful, though? Look at that belly. Isn't that pretty? She's so amazing. I adore this snake. This is one of now 2 snakes that we have here in the room that I would not personally get for my personal collection, simply because there will come a time for her, and there already is a time for the other one that I have to show you, that it will not be safe to handle her alone, or really interact with her, feed her anything where you're in the enclosure and she could potentially get a hold of you, because the possibility exists that you could get wrapped and not be able to get yourself out of it. And so for my personal collection, this snake is going to become unreasonable. But since I have an educational center and other people that are trained on how to save my life, that are there regularly with me when I would need to interact with her, well, it makes her a little bit more reasonable. Male yellow anacondas might not quite get to the crazy size. Yellows might not be out entirely, but a girl like this, she's going to be a pretty serious snake.
How big are we talking? Because yellows are smaller than the green anaconda.
Yellows are smaller than the greens, but they're not small. So it is not at all unreasonable for her to potentially get to be 12, even as long as 14 feet and 75 plus pounds, which is the size of the green anaconda we had in our green anaconda video.
Holy cow.
That said, that would be a particularly big one. She may end up under 10 feet, but very strong. I mean, she's very strong at this size. My arm is now incapacitated, and she's very strong. Though I think she's a little bit smaller than the Brazilian rainbow boas, which I would argue are also anacondas, and I don't think she's as strong as they are just yet. They're just incredibly powerful animals. So cool.
Okay, let's jump to some super chats and catch up on those.
Oh, and let me do a little pitch real quick. Okay. In case you're just joining us, to save the reptile hobby, please go over to the USARK YouTube channel and subscribe. Just seeing you there, you're just adding to the number of subscribers there, gives them more authority to speak on our behalf for our elected representatives to see that we are a big community of people and they represent a lot of people. So get over there. I would personally like to see them at 10,000 subscribers by the end of today. And you can help make that possible.
Okay.
Anaconda.
Bird Song Sung sent a super chat saying, since you did a video on budgies and penguins, can you do a video on pigeons as pets? Getting some positive pigeon representation out there.
I should totally do a video on pigeons. In fact, my brother-in-law used to have a big coop of pigeons, but I think he's kind of out of pigeons, but he probably knows a lot of people in the local pigeon community. I would like that very much. I'd also like to do quail. I know a guy, his name is Jason, and he loves the quail, and they're a great one. But yeah, pigeons, for sure. I mean, I would say count on us doing a pigeon video at some point, but also maybe a parrot first. I don't know. We'll just have to see what happens.
Lowgrath1 sent a super chat saying, thanks to your video on fire-bellied toads, I now have a small family of 6 of them that I built a large bioactive paludarium for. Thank you kindly. I love these derpy little frogs.
They're fun. I bet there's a very good chance that you will have little tadpoles in the near future with such a group in a paludarium. And so there is a need for breeding them because we don't really want to be importing them. I don't even know if we are currently importing them. You don't see them nearly as often as you used to. And so there's a market for them. So find somebody who could distribute a bajillion baby fire-bellied toads.
Amorobella sent a super chat saying, not a question, but a story. Was in my car when I heard honking. A green iguana was running across the street, nearly jumps into my car.
Depending on where you live, that can be more or less surprising. Now, and especially if the iguana was the one doing the honking.
Nice. Mr. and Mrs. Moralia sent a super chat saying, would love to see you do a collab with Lori Torini about target training. Why you might want to and what animals respond best to target training.
That sounds like fun. Yeah, I saw a little bit of her stuff a while back when we did one of our training videos, and people were telling me about her. So that would be. I have no idea where she lives or anything like that. It'd be fun.
Tara Valia sent a super chat saying, what would you say is the friendliest bigger snake? Or more to the point, one that is more likely to engage or want to be handled or interacted with?
Well, that depends on what you mean by bigger, because bigger can vary. But while we're talking about it, why don't I go ahead and get the friendliest bigger snake?
Well, what didn't we not just just literally release a video about this kind of topic?
Well,
not bigger per se, but
yeah.
interaction.
So as far as the level of interaction, retics pretty much take the cake. And you can get retics at various different sizes of bigger. Super dwarfs are, while not small snakes by any stretch of the imagination, they're very manageable even for a single person. Dwarfs are huge, but for retics they're tiny. And mainlands are colossal snakes. And those are probably the most interactive. I will tell you though, when you're talking about a snake that is 20-ish feet long or longer, really exploratory and interactive makes handling, at least, very difficult. And maybe you just get to the point where you're not trying to carry it around really. You know, like you can interact with the dog really well, but most of the time you're not just picking your dog up and hauling it around on your shoulder. And so you know, maybe that's not what you're all about. But as far as what is the chillest of the big snakes, I'll be right back. Okay.
Let me see if we can, let me find the next super chat.
We do have 2 super chats about the name of that snake.
Okay, let me get to that because I know one of them.
Okay.
Will, can you read some of the latest chats? Anything we can talk about?
Well, some of the super chats.
Louder,
and
Will.
names.
Wait over here.
All right, so while we're talking about names, All Canadian Reptile Girl did a super chat. FYI, my mom has been calling me Anna Banana since I was a baby.
Cute.
Okay. And then we had another super chat about that snake.
Hi, everybody. So, okay, here's the deal, guys. This snake is big enough to kill me. Okay, it doesn't happen.
I give Will all responsibility to saving your life.
Okay, well, I'm gonna talk to you
I'll
about-
just
I'm
keep
gonna-
the
I'm gonna
camera
talk to
framed
for
on
just-
you.
I'll talk to you for just a minute about how to keep me from dying if
Okay.
things went south. Okay, so here's the deal. When a ball python gets away in a school in Pennsylvania, it's often nationwide news. So you better believe that you hear about every giant snake that kills somebody. Okay? And there are probably 500 at least snakes this size here in the state of Utah. Tens of thousands of them in the United States, and you never hear about them killing people. So the likelihood of it trying to kill me is small. But I will tell you a little bit of the background on this snake. This will be good for everybody. So yeah, I'll move back here for a second. A little bit of the background on this snake is, this snake, the snake has been in kind of foster care for the last couple of years. And so it hasn't really been handled very much, and it's sort of only been receiving maintenance feeding, so I want to get it fattened up a little bit more than it is. It's not that used to people. Of all the situations where you might have an issue. If it should be to grab me, okay, what I...
Keep the camera on you. Got it?
Yeah. Okay, so that'll be Jason's job. Your job, if you care at all about me living, would be to probably start off by just starting at the tail and trying to unwrap the snake.
Okay.
You know, you're strong enough to do it, but not when you're inside of the coil.
Right.
You know, you're not gonna burst out of there like He-Man.
And if
so,
I don't want you to survive.
so if I'm wrapped, yeah, if you don't want me to survive, you just laugh and film. Okay, but if
I'll
you'd
get
like,
my camera out too.
yeah, if you'd like for me to film, you do it upright for shorts. But if you'd like for me to live, start unwrapping. You could also take some of that hand sanitizer there and put a little in her mouth, so she might let me go. Like I said, not likely to happen, but it's not impossible. All right.
Let me catch up on some super chats. I think I lost some. Unfortunately, it's scrolled away some of my super chats, which is unfortunate.
They're just gone?
That like I can't scroll any higher. It's not showing me old stuff.
Wait. I might have it.
I have all the way up to name her Citrine. I don't have anything beyond that.
Oh yeah. Okay.
What's
so,
above it?
so this is the last one you did.
Okay. Okay. No, we did that one. Mr. and Mrs. We did that one. When I was scrolling like this, it just got rid of stuff, which is.
So you guys can see me still, right? What I'm doing right now is tap training. And so all of our snakes are tap trained, so they know that if I pet them with a snake hook, that they're being handled and not fed. But this snake's tap training is only just beginning, so she doesn't necessarily know that just yet. So I need to keep an eye on her body language. There you go.
Can I distract you?
Yes?
Ray was here, sent a super chat saying Anne of Yellow Gables.
That. Okay, I think that's Sawyer, because Sawyer, he has suggested Ray, Anne of Yellow Gables to me many times.
There you go.
For that to be somebody else, I find unbelievable.
Okay, I think I've got it. Okay, Jordan Brooksby sent a super chat saying, have you considered doing an episode of gold tegus? Mine's almost an adult, and I can say worst pet tegu you can possibly get is an accurate statement.
Yes. I would totally do a video on gold tegus. I don't know anybody who has one, but they're magnificently beautiful, but they're horrible pets. Not because they're bad lizards. They're whiptails, right? And all the tegus are whiptails. And whiptails are generally high stress creatures. and the kind of freak out easily. The Argentine tegus are pretty chill for some reason, but all the other whiptails, including like the amoebas and stuff, they're all pretty high strung. And so when you're huge enough to bite really hard and you're high strung and afraid of the world, you're a pretty lousy pet. That's the take home. This is our Burmese Python. And she is amazing. And she's wrapped around part of the couch. Let's see if I can get her out from there. She's here. She's a big girl. Yeah, I'll move her up onto the couch. There we go.
How much does she weigh?
She's weighing in at right around 50 pounds right now, but at her current length, I'd like to see her heavier than that. She's been kind of maintenance fed. And so I've got one meal in her, and she was great. Feeding her was a little intimidating. But, let's see, there's her head. But,
You gotta find a stray dog.
she ate a frozen thawed rabbit that came from a rabbit farm. And she just went up and started swallowing it like she was a hognose snake, which is my favorite way an animal can eat. So she's been perfect. She's shown no signs of aggression, but just knowing that I don't know what the quality of her life has been like in general. I know the last 2 years she hasn't really been handled. That makes me extra careful with her, but she's magnificent. And I need to research this a little bit more because I don't know too much about driving Miss Daisy, but I kind of want to name her Miss Daisy. I don't know why, but it really fits her. She's a very yellow, there's a kind of a high yellow population of Burms, and she seems to have a lot of those genetics because she is much brighter than most Burmese pythons. But
She's a beast.
she's quite spectacular. There you go. She is the largest snake we have here at Clint's Reptile Room. She's larger than any snake I would ever get for my personal enjoyment. She will get bigger than this, though probably not quite as big as Burms can get because she's been maintenance fed and who knows what during kind of some key growth periods of her life. So she'll probably never be as big as a Burm can get because one was just caught in the Everglades, 18 feet and over 200 pounds. What? And so these are, though, the friendliest, most laid back of the giant snakes. They're just basically colossal ball pythons in terms of personality. And, that doesn't make them the most engaging to interact with. There's a reason they weren't even a consideration for our list of the most engaging pet reptiles that came out today. But they are probably the safest to interact with of the big snakes, and they don't get quite as big as some of the biggest of the big snakes. And they're just, for an educational outreach center like this, where we're doing a lot of presentations for big groups, like we discussed before, having a big snake that people can interact with just kind of seemed like a must. And this is one that needed a good home after having a pretty rough go of it. And so I'm very thankful to have her here. If you have names that you like better than Miss Daisy, or if you'd like to support Miss Daisy as a name, please let us know.
Jennifer White suggested a name earlier for the yellow anaconda as Destiny. She's a survivor. Here's music in her head. I'm a survivor. 90s kids will get this.
Oh, yes. Yes, especially if they're children.
Anthony Simone sent a super chat saying, "How's your little escape artist Greenie? Can't wait to show you my new children's python on Tuesday, my friend."
Oh boy, I'm excited to see. I'll definitely show you Greenie. Greenie is doing really well. Greenie was Greenie Miracle, our green tree monitor. He was very shy at first, and he did get away from me the first day that we had him, and I almost lost him permanently. But he thankfully came back thanks to Jason's ladder and a little bit of patience and a lot of luck and a lot of prayers. And we have him back. He is our Greenie Miracle. We now have him to the point where he will come out and crawl onto your arm and stuff and get food, and then he'll climb on your shoulder and stuff for a minute, but then he kind of wants to get back into the enclosure. But it is still massive progress from where he once was. So I'm very excited about him. I love him. I think they're the coolest pet monitors of them all. if you get one as a captive bred baby, and then really socialize it from a young age, they're just unbelievably spectacular.
So we have a super chat from that one guy who is my brother-in-law, and he suggested a name for the yellow anaconda, Twinkie from Ghostbusters. That's one big Twinkie.
That's a good one, and it has a good story. I like it.
Let's see. Keep scrolling and losing my spot.
How wonderful is she?
Here we go. We have a super chat from Sherry LBW.
Sherry LBW. I love hearing these names again. Like it fills me with joy.
Sherry says, "Glad I made it. How is the family?"
We are doing so well. We are doing so well. Thanks for asking. Yeah, it's been a really fun time. Martha, she's grown by leaps and bounds. She just turned 2 years old. Can you believe that? And whatever it is that is in me that makes me just have this total fascination with animals that has gone back to my earliest memories, she's got it. She's got it big time. And so the other day we did a presentation at a library, and there were hundreds of people there, and I put a ball python on her, and she walked it around to the crowd and would lean into the crowd so everybody could feel it. It was amazing. And she's already a little animal ambassador. She's amazing.
We got another super chat from Eek. It's Sneck. Love what you do, Clint. Your care advice has helped me with my grumpy rescues more than you could know. Also, pineapple. It's just gotta be. I mean, look at her.
Yeah, I do like it. The Chiquita has stood out to me too. I like them both. Those are good names. And I'm so glad that we've been able to help.
Kyle Friend sent a super chat saying, currently setting up to breed SN reed frogs.
Starry night.
Oh, there you go. In your enclosure, did you add springtails to make bioactive, or is it not needed due to waterfall?
The waterfall makes it hard to add a cleanup crew. I will tell you, springtails though do pretty well. I don't even often need to add springtails. Springtails just tend to show up in enclosures.
I like it. Let's see. Toaster Weevil sent a super chat saying, "Hello, Clint. Hope you're doing well. Are colored lizards and or chuckwalla videos coming in the future? Both are lizard species I'm considering."
Colored lizard right there. So we should do a colored lizard video in the relatively near future. Chuckwallas, need to find a chuckwalla that somebody has. They're native here in Utah, which can make it more complicated for me to find one locally at times. I don't know what the local laws are as far as the keeping of them, but I would like to cover them both, yeah.
Let's see, Lowgraph1 sent another super chat saying, "I'm trying to breed the fire-bellied toads. They were really hard to find for me and had apparently been out of stock everywhere for a couple years. Thank you for all you do for the hobby."
Perfect. Well, it sounds like we're very much on the same page. Already our minds are as one.
Let's see, catching up. Lowgraph1 sent another super chat. "Any tip for feeding really small amphibians? Right now, I have to pull them all out of their cage, feed them in a separate tank to keep the prey from hiding or drowning."
That can definitely be an issue with really small amphibians that are in the water. With my Starry Night reed frog babies, I do a lot of Drosophila hydei, which are the bigger fruit flies, the flightless Drosophila hydei, and then I also, for the adults, I give them little baby dubia roaches, and I put a little cup in there that sits up in the tree. But these are arboreal frogs, so they can get into that cup. With more terrestrial frogs, like fire bellies, that's tougher. But just maybe have a really big land area where your feeders can walk around and not just fall right into the water. Paludariums are difficult though as far as feeding goes.
We have a super chat from Brian Anuvatanachai. I'm sorry, Brian. Brian A. Who says,
Isn't that your last name, Jason? And that's how you pronounce it.
That's how I pronounce it.
Yeah.
Exactly. Who says, could you do a video on lineolated parakeets? Lineolated? I don't know.
Maybe.
I would really like to see more bird videos. I think those parakeets would be better than budgies.
Well, I tell you what. Here's how our future of crazy parrot videos is going to go. I would say to a large degree, is we've got to stop by that parrot-only shop in Salt Lake City, and if it's the kind of facility that we would like to promote, then we'll see if we could work out a relationship where I can borrow a lot of their parrots over time, and then I would say the sky's the limit, because they're birds, as far as what kinds of parrots we might cover.
Toaster Weevil sent a super chat saying, the real question is, Komodo Dragon video when?
All right, I'm going to reach out through you guys and see if you know anything about how this might be achieved. But a little while back, on Australia Zoo has a YouTube channel, and that's the Irwin's Zoo over in Australia, shockingly. And Robert Irwin did a video with his Komodo dragons that they have there. And it was amazing. And I can't think of a thing I would rather do than go to Australia and film a Komodo dragon video with their Komodo dragons. And the Irwins, if at all possible. That would be an absolute dream come true. But I have no idea how to even begin the process of reaching out for that. And so, if you do, please let me know how to get a hold of the Irwins, or if you know if they'd be interested in such a thing. That would be amazing. If not, I mean, the Denver Zoo, which is my hometown zoo growing up, and still probably my favorite zoo I've ever been to, they have Komodo dragons, and so I can reach out to them. So I would say as soon as I have access to a Komodo dragon, which is probably easier said than done, I would definitely do a Komodo dragon video, because they are very, very amazing lizards. And maybe in the more short term, we could potentially do a phylogenetics video on the varanids. Just throwing that out there.
Let's switch back over to Patreon questions real quick from our lovely patrons.
Okay, is it all right if I put this girl away? I'm running out of gas.
I will allow it. While you're doing that, I'll read you the question from Anthony Simone, who is also a patron.
I've heard of this, Anthony.
Yeah. Hello there, my friend. Hope all is well with you and the family. What are some new additions to the reptile room? And do you have any future plans that you are excited about?
Oh, what a great question. So I have shown a few of the things to you guys, but I've got something I've hinted at, but I haven't shown you what it is. And I think now is the time. So hang on just a minute, sanitize a little, and I'm going to bring you something that I have. Until these arrived from C&B Reptiles, I had never seen one in person in my life. And I've only handled them a handful of times, but I know they are relatively handleable. So I will be right back with one of these. And in fact, one of them I've been handling extensively because I've had to do some work to get it. I'll tell you the whole story here in a minute, but I thought I was going to lose it. But she's making a great recovery. Here I come. Oh. No.
Let's read some chats. Plated lizards are where it's at, from Reptile Madness. Let's see. Someone says northern curly tails are the best lizard ever. Carrie Ann Fontaine says, I love the Burmese python. I have 2 albino males. Wriggle Bots says the Minnesota Zoo has Komodo dragons.
Okay. So this is he's a little wiggly. Like I said, I don't really handle them. And I'm going to put him back as soon as I can, but I want to show him to you. And he's not doing his threat display, which is the craziest thing ever, but I've never seen him do it. I am going to put him back, though, and I say, he's maybe considering it. It would be the first time I've ever seen it, though. This is a toad-headed agama. And toad-headed agamas kind of look like cave troll-bearded dragons. If you see them in person, there's nothing really particularly exceptional about them. They do curl up their tails, really fun. They'll bring them up over their heads. They're scorpion mimics. But the thing about the toad-headed agamas is their threat display is bananas, to quote Jason. They have these little flaps here in the side of their mouth, and they flare them out crazy wide and open and bright red like a sarcastic fringe head fish. If you're not familiar with this, do yourself a favor and look that thing up. It's the craziest threat display I've ever seen from a lizard. So nuts. And I've seen these guys for years, and I've been super curious about them, but I've never seen one in person until these 3 arrived here. And I will tell you, this is the male. And when he got here, he was a little bit skinny. And they seem to have very fast metabolisms. They're pretty high heat. They live in the desert. They bury themselves in the coolest of ways. We do have a whole video filmed on these, so it is coming soon. But you know, he was a little bit slower than the 2 girls, and he was getting out competed by them, but I was very deliberate about feeding him. And once I got him up to proper weight, like then he could hold his own with the girls. He's been doing really well. Well, I noticed one of the girls was starting to get skinny in the same way, but I knew he'd been through that, and it wasn't that big a deal. And I don't handle them really, and so I wasn't. And they're buried most of the time, so I could hardly notice what was happening. But then I saw her one time, and I'm like, she just doesn't look good. And I picked her up, and it was like, oh, she's real bad. Like, she was just completely lethargic, just could hardly move her head or anything, couldn't eat. And so I thought she was too far gone to come back. And I started to, I assist fed her. And one thing that can happen when you assist feed, agamid lizards, like bearded dragons, are very easy to assist feed. You start working it into their mouth, and basically you get it in there, and they just go. These guys aren't quite that easy to assist feed, but I did find a strategy that works really well with her. But one of the mistakes you can make with assist feeding is you can just give them a ton of food, because you're like, well, you're emaciated, so you need lots of food, and you give them so much food that their systems just aren't really working, and it just ends up like festering in there, and it can contribute to their death. So I started her off just with just like one little dubia, and you know, there was one day where I thought I was going to come in and find her dead. There was another day where I was sure I was going to come in and find her dead. But she actually made it through, and she kept getting a little bit stronger and a little bit stronger and a little bit stronger, and I was able to feed her more and more and more and more, and I'd feed her multiple times a day, and I'd feed her bigger and bigger roaches. And starting about 3 or 4 days ago, she started feeding on her own again, and now she's eating on her own. And honestly, and during this time where she was super lethargic, she went through a full shed cycle. So she did shed, which takes some serious energy too, and she was having trouble with that. Right now, even though she's still not totally back to normal, I do have to spend some time determining which of the 2 females is her. So she is all but back, and she's actually pretty good about me handling her, because I've handled her so much to feed her lately. This male I've only handled maybe 3 times, but he was very wiggly, but he's chilling out about it. I don't know if they'll be handleable in the future. Right now, I just want them to survive. These are captive bred. They came out of Europe. Somebody down in Phoenix had them, needed to move across country, and so gave them to C&B Reptiles. C&B was like, I don't know what to do with such an obscure lizard. they contacted me, and we have them now. And like I said, I was really worried about losing that girl, but I think she's well on the road to recovery. And so the thing will be, can we get baby captive bred toad-headed agamas here? I would be very excited about that. But first things first, I just want them to all be healthy and happy. And anyway, I'm very excited about it. This is crazy. I've never seen them in my life. Never seen them in my life. But I've got another agama I should show you.
Shall I read a Patreon question?
You should read a Patreon question.
Okay, this is from Sarah May Can. What are your thoughts on overcoming toxicity in the reptile community? As long as I've been in the reptile community, I've noticed so much hostility between keepers, especially veteran keepers and people just getting into the hobby. How can we successfully advocate for our rights as keepers and educate the public when many keepers can't have a civil conversation about substrate before it divulges into bullying and profanity? Now, there are definitely so many amazing and kind people in the community that I don't let some bad apples ruin it for me, but it does make me worry for how it changes people's perception of reptile keepers as a whole.
That is a great question, and one that I wish I completely knew the answer to. In general, I'm a hopeful person. When I see the quality of the interaction that we get here on this channel, in this community, it fills me with hope, because you guys are just so amazing, so amazing. But I will tell you, to a certain degree, that is just the nature of online communities. I think when you go to reptile expos and things, there's still drama between people at times, but when you go to reptile expos, when you meet the people of the reptile community, when you come here to Clint's Reptile Room during our open hours and see 50 people here hanging out with reptiles, what you see is just a stupendously positive community. I find by and large, just some of the best people I've ever met are parts of the reptile community. And, in a lot of ways, a lot of the people in the reptile community, I think, are people who've always kind of been a little bit misunderstood. And they tend to be, I think, a little bit more accepting and kind than what you run into in the general public. But online communities are often toxic. It's just the reality of it. And, something that made me feel better to a certain degree about this was, I've seen this, and what you're saying about substrate is true, and just, people will argue about anything within the realm of care. Look at how cute this baby beardy is. But the thing is, too, and to some degree, I sort of understood it, because it's like, well, to some degree, your decision on substrate might really matter for the health and longevity and survival of a real living, breathing animal. Something can suffer because of the mistakes you're making. And so it makes some sense that people are extra passionate maybe about it. But then, and this originally occurred to me, one of my good friends who's my first ever friend that I had that was into keeping reptiles, he's also very into Warhammer 40K, which is a miniature model strategy game, which I'm going to say that no matter how you do that, none of the characters actually suffer and die. All right, there's no legitimate actual suffering. Nothing really matters. It's just a silly game. And they are just as toxic and aggressive and angry in their online communities and discussions about the right and wrong way to paint models and do all kinds. And the reality is that's just kind of the way people are in online communities when you don't have to deal with the actual consequences that can happen if you're a super big jerk in a face-to-face interaction. And so try to take it with a grain of salt. It's not something that is unique to the reptile community in any way. And again, I would say from my personal experience with people in the reptile community, which I haven't been a part of all my life. I was 26 years old the first time I met somebody else who was really actually into reptiles too. And that was after finishing a complete degree in zoology. So I haven't been a member of the reptile community my whole life, but I've been around it a lot lately, and it is full of some really great people.
I like it. Kimber Dillon did a Patreon question saying, what do you find therapeutic about having your reptiles? And what type of reptile pet would you recommend for someone who is neurodivergent, such as being on the spectrum or being ADHD?
All right. So what do I find there? Animals, like reptiles, in a lot of ways, they give a lot more than they ask. Which can be the case for many pets, but some pets, like dogs, ask a lot. And that's not necessarily for everyone. And that's something I actually like, because I'm a little bit introverted myself. And so I don't necessarily want something that demands my constant attention. That can be a little bit much for me, which I know is also the case often for people who are a little bit neurodivergent, who might be on the spectrum, or for who have ADHD. It might be a lot to have something that is constantly demanding your attention. And one of the lovely things about a snake is, in a lot of ways, as long as you're keeping an eye on them and doing some basic spot cleaning and stuff like that, you can have almost no interaction with a snake for weeks at a time. Again, you gotta be feeding them. You gotta make sure their water bowl is full. You gotta spot clean up. Make sure the cage is reasonable. But that doesn't take a heck of a lot of time. But when you want interaction, the interaction you can have with something like a snake is amazing. It's amazing and very, very satisfying and very relaxing, because their demeanor, their way of being is very, very relaxed. And when you interact with one, you kind of have to match that, which I would imagine would be very good for somebody with ADHD, because it's very, very grounding. As far as being neurodivergent, like being on the autism spectrum, same basic thing. They're amazing animals. They're something that is really fun to really just engage with and understand and learn about in as many ways as you can. And these can be very, very satisfying activities for all of us. So I think they're wonderful in that way. At the same time, pets can be overwhelming, and pets can be a source of stress. When pets aren't doing well, I can tell you, like that female toad-headed agama had me very stressed out for a long time, right? And you try to have a little perspective about things. You try to realize that when you are, interacting with and caring for many, many animals, that not all of them are going to be doing well all of the time, and hopefully you have enough time to catch that and help them through it. But it's not perfect, and so making sure that you have a number of animals and types of animals that are right for you and your situation and your emotional needs, that's the most important thing, and that's a lot of why we created this channel in the first place, is to help you find that right fit for you.
Okay, last question from Patreon, from Chris Sudweeks. Do you have a rubber boa?
I do not have a rubber boa. I like rubber boas. Rubber boas, here in Utah, our population does not tend to do very well on rodent feeders. Out in California, their population is a lot better on rodent feeders. It's difficult though, it's difficult getting them established in captivity. A lot of times they only want to eat baby wild mice. So unless you have a constant supply of baby wild mice, well, it doesn't need to be constant. They can eat 1 litter of mice and then be good for the year. But you need access to baby wild mice to get rubber boas by. But if you get, there are people who breed them, and so if you can get one, they're awesome. I do have some relatives of them. I've got Kenyan sand boa. I've got a rosy boa now, but I do not have. I've got a few Kenyan sand boas actually, but I do not have a rubber boa. I'd like to do a video on one though sometime, but I don't want to take one out of the wild here. I do catch them here, and they're wonderful. One of the fun things about them is if you see a rubber boa, you have caught a rubber boa. They're not going anywhere.
Did we talk about this?
No! This was for Anthony. So this is a little baby beardy I got actually to be a future mate for the female beardies that I held back from my clutch my 6 clutches of 120 babies that we produced a while back. I haven't tried breeding my female again. I figured that was enough to ask of her. And I don't necessarily want another 120 babies out of her. But her babies are very orange because dad's very orange. And this is an unrelated male who has got so much cool stuff going on. So he is a hypo. He's obviously bred for extreme orange. At this age, if they have any orange, they're going to be pretty orange. And he's way orange. And then he's got like genetic stripe stuff going on. He's also a leatherback and a dunner and possibly het translucent, which my female is hypo het translucent, and she's very orange. So they're gonna. If I'm having bred bearded dragons and knowing that you get buckets of babies, if you're gonna breed bearded dragons, they should be really, really rad. And so this is a future mate for my at least the one of the girls that I keep here. I'll breed them at least one more time because they were fun, but. Breeding bearded dragons, you better know where those babies are going. We traded away a lot of babies. And fortunately, I know a lot of Animal Arc. I traded a lot of them to them. And I've got other sources that are breeders. But man, if you don't have somewhere for 100 baby bearded dragons to go, probably don't try breeding bearded dragons.
Good advice. Should we check in on US Arc?
Yes!
Give it
Yes,
another
we
pitch.
absolutely should. Absolutely, positively.
Do you want to give another pitch to subscribing before we check in?
Okay, so one of the things that you can do right now to help save the reptile hobby is just to go over to the US Arc YouTube page. Jason has just put a link here in the chat. Go over there and subscribe. Just by seeing this big number of subscribers, the US Arc is going to have more authority when speaking with our nation's leaders, and right now is the time when it has probably mattered the most ever, because the decisions are being made right now about the Lacey Act. So get over there and subscribe. I'm hoping to see 10,000 subscribers by the end of today. So please get over there, subscribe, support them. That number matters.
So when we started the live stream, US Arc was at 5.15 thousand subscribers. And right now, as I hit refresh, they are currently at 5.41 thousand subscribers. We're making a dent.
We're making a big dent. So that, thank you. I mean, that's almost everybody that's here
Yeah.
has gone and subscribed. Thank you. I know more people are going to watch this later. Subscribe. Just get there. Subscribe. Do it. It's going to make the difference could be just monumental. It can be just a monumental difference that could make. So thank you so much for doing that and supporting them. This is so awesome. Just so great.
We got a super chat
Super chat.
from C. Ryan Schreirock, which I recognize as a patron as well. He's commented on a few of our podcasts, in fact. He says, any plans for bat videos?
You have no idea how much I'd like to do a bat video. I don't know what my access is like to bats, but I would really like to have access to bats and hang out with bats. I know our local zoo has bats. Bats are cool. Bats are super cool. So yes, I would like that very, 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 very much. I want to talk about a thing. Jason's giving me shifty eyes. We have considered doing a higher level of Patreon, but we're trying to think about like what kind of features to offer. And so something I'd like to ask you guys is just if we did a higher level of Patreon, like A, how much higher do you think would be appropriate, and B, what kind of features would make it worthwhile for you guys? So we're just kind of looking for some ideas. We've got some ideas of our own, and we haven't decided for sure that's what we're going to do, but I'd love to just reach out to you guys a little bit and get your thoughts, because you guys have great ideas.
Okay. Sherry LBW sent a super chat saying, how is Severus doing?
Severus, let's see. I need to remember who Severus is.
You may have renamed
I
it.
may have renamed it. I'm sorry.
Sherry,
I'm-
send a message
Yes.
telling us which animal Severus was.
Sorry. Sometimes I don't remember the names that were given to me when given them, because if I don't have a silly way to remember them, I forget.
The Bready.
Oh, the Burmese Python. Okay, thank you. Sorry, I don't have I haven't had a name for him. So Severus, thank you for reminding me of the name. He's doing really well. I've got him at home, just because I wanted to get him eating consistently and stuff before I tried to bring him over here. But doing great, love him, and thank you again for reminding me of the name because I'm bad. This is why the names have to make so much sense, because if they don't make sense to me, I struggle. But since you sent Severus to us, I have watched all of the Harry Potter movies and read several of the books. And so Severus makes a lot more sense to me than it used to.
Her grandson's named him.
That it's a good name, and I like Severus. So I will probably stick with that name. I may need one more reminder.
Kate Warner sent a super duper chat saying, we have a Komodo at the Chattanooga Zoo who reproduced through parthenogenesis. We would love to have you and your family come visit us. Also, more tarantula videos, please. Then you can, thank you for all you do to educate us about animal care and conservation.
Permission to geek out about parthenogenesis and Komodo dragons and get my parthenogenic snake.
I'll allow it.
And these are parthenogenic geckos. Okay, okay. Oh, I'm getting excited now, Jason.
Anytime parthenogenesis pops up, I know we're gonna have quite the conversation.
Yes. So this tap training is mattering right now because she definitely thought food was coming. She was very curious about it. And even though she is a delightful snake, she has bitten one of our volunteers who didn't do the tap training when she just reached in there and got snagged. So this is Athena. Athena is a super dwarf reticulated python from Reach Out Reptiles. And possibly, like if I had to pick only one snake I could keep, it genuinely might be Athena. She's just unbelievably cool. She is a parthenogenic baby, and pythons have XY sex determination, which is like what humans have. And so female pythons are XX, males are XY. The way that they do parthenogenesis is they do meiosis like normal, and so she'll pass on one of her X's, because that's all she has to pass, is one X or the other X. And usually, a sperm would come and fertilize that egg, and so it would either give the X from the male or the Y. If it gives the X, then you get a female. If it gives the Y, you get a male. All right? Pretty normal stuff. But because these are parthenogenic, well, not normally, but she is a parthenogenic baby, she only got the half of the genome from mom, which included one of mom's X chromosomes. All of those chromosomes simply duplicated themselves, and so she's XX, a female. That was the only way that mom could do this. And she has duplicate copies of every chromosome that she has. So her chromosome pairs are all identical. She is as inbred as a snake can possibly be. And the way that it worked for the Komodo dragons is exactly the same, except for one very important difference. Now, I am going to go ahead and put her back, though, because this little bulge tells me she's ready to pee, and I don't want to be the receiver of that. She did destroy my computer that way.
I was going to point it out to you had you not seen it.
I appreciate you drawing my attention to it. I've learned to watch for it.
Okay.
Wait, I'm not done. I haven't talked about Komodo Dragon.
Oh, how dare I?
I know. Hang on, I better make it on that thing. Get back there. So raptor here is a monitor lizard, like a Komodo dragon. And Komodos and other, most lizards in fact, have ZW sex determination, which means that the female is the one that has two different chromosomes. She's ZW and the males are ZZ. Well, when a female Komodo dragon does parthenogenesis, it works in the same way, except she can either pass her Z or her W onto an egg. If she passes on her Z, it will duplicate and she will make a ZZ male. If she passes on the W, it'll make a WW dead. It would be just as dead as if you were YY. Can't live like that. So all of the babies that actually hatch from a parthenogenic Komodo dragon clutch are males, not females. And they are as inbred as it is possible to be. All of their chromosomes are exact copies. And the problem with inbreeding is homozygosity. If you've got anything in your genome that is bad to have as two copies, well, there's nothing on the other copy that's going to fix it, right? And so when you're that level inbred, there can't be anything nasty like that in your entire genome. And the thing is, if you were looking for, well, some of the males as a result of this are just not going to even hatch. They're not going to make it to adulthood. But any of them that do don't have anything in their genome that is bad to have as two copies, making them the most ideal inbred mate for you to breed with. And so suddenly, if you're just a female that washed up on shore, you reproduce by a parthenogenesis and produce some males, most of which probably don't make it, but those that do are the perfect inbred mates for you. And now you have a population with really strong genetics on an island. Parthenogenesis in Komodo dragons. Stinking rad. Say hi, Raptor. Isn't she wonderful? She's so incredible. Thanks, Joseph Carter. We love having her here. She's such an amazing lizard. How cool is that? You see that gular pumping? Are those all the questions?
No.
Okay. We're just enjoying our moment.
Waxing
Waxing
lawn. Let's see. Logwrath1 sent another super chat saying, desert rain frog video in the future, maybe?
That seems like a possibility. I don't know if I know anybody keeping desert rain frogs, but if I do, if I find out, maybe we'll contact Josh's Frogs and see what they've got.
Yeah. Okay, another super chat.
Super
from
chat?
Anthony Simone.
Anthony!
So, my friend, I recall you saying once that the only hot snake you would ever consider keeping is an eyelash viper. Why this snake particularly?
The eyelash viper appeals to me because, A, they're beautiful, and you can build a really nice enclosure for them. But the other thing is that their bite is just not as deadly as most vipers. So if you're going to keep a viper, that's one of the less dangerous vipers you can keep. Other snakes that do appeal to me as being a possibility, since I have an outreach, would be local rattlesnakes, or really just the local venomous snakes from wherever you are. The reason for that being, when you show up to the hospital with a bite, they actually can do something about it. Whereas if you show up with a cobra bite, they're like, oh, man, we've got crofab, maybe some morphine, they might have some general treatments for you, but they don't know specifically how to help you, and they might not have the supplies they need to specifically help you with that sort of a bite. Whereas if it's a local snake, they'll know what to do with it. Copperheads would appeal to me very much if I lived in an area with copperheads, because their venom is also kind of, it's more severe than eyelash vipers, but for vipers, it could be worse.
Toaster Weevil sent another super chat saying, cooler word, parthenogenesis or toxicognaths?
I knew that was coming next. Definitely toxicognaths. Parthenogenesis is a very cool thing, as are toxicognaths, but toxicognaths are a cooler word. Only conglobate rivals it.
That's right. Is that where they roll up?
Yep.
Yeah. Uh, Alvaro Ramirez said, where do you recommend buying frozen rats from? And do you recommend starting a colony? Haven't had a snake in a while, and PetSmart is expensive.
PetSmart is expensive, man. It depends on how many snakes you have. Like, I buy snakes, or I buy rodent feeders in bulk from places like Rodent Pro. Where I prefer to get my rats, though, generally speaking, is I source them locally from local breeders that I know and trust. And so I have a good friend here who I've been getting my rats from generally recently, Jessica, the rat lady. And when we did our rat video, we actually featured her rats. So if you want to contact her, I know she's been trying to get her operation really off the ground to have the kind of volume that we would require. So she's kind of not, she's not my full source just yet, but she will. And but that's my favorite way to do it, is find somebody local, and then you don't have to ship them, and they're fresher and they're just healthier, and you can know how they were raised and all that stuff. But there are good places to order them online as well. I've had good success with Rodent Pro. They've never advertised with us, so that's just me telling you. I've had good success with Rodent Pro.
Come on, Rodent Pro.
Yeah, get on it. I think you support that Kaufman fellow.
George Plew sent a super chat saying, I just picked up a black and white female tegu from Repticon, wild caught and handles great. She eats quail eggs and a mice ground turkey and some mango. Is there any other foods you would recommend to me?
I would recommend getting maybe more greens in there. Gus, I can tell you, loves collard greens. I should grab him here in a minute. But he loves collard greens, and I can do target training and stuff just for collard greens. Like he's thrilled enough about that, and so getting more greens in there. But that's good, and it's so cool to hear that. I think in a lot of ways, just getting people to adopt the wild-caught tegus, that's such a great thing. Do that, do lots of that. And the thing is, those wild-caught Argentine tegus, they do seem to mellow out quite nicely with just a little bit of good interaction. So good on you for doing that. I love that.
We are caught up on super chats. You had your agenda? I'm trying to.
Yeah. Let's can I take a peek at my agenda,
Yes.
Mr. Will?
Yes, sir.
Make sure I got everything I wanted to talk about. Okay, let's see. Yes. Okay, I think I've only got one thing left. And we did talk about it some, but I'm having such a good time with these phylogeny videos. I talked to you about that. What groups do you want to see me cover? Well, and how often would you like to see them? Right now, we're kind of targeting one a month. And that seems like a good pace, but do you want to see more of them, not so many of them? And then what groups would you like for me to talk about? Because one of the things I love about it is I can talk about anything, right? Pet videos, people are always worried about us running out of pet videos. I'm not worried about running out of possible pets that you could keep anytime soon, unless, of course, the Lacey Act amendments go through. Then our library is already complete. But when it comes to talking about groups of organisms, I can talk about anything alive now. I can talk about extinct groups. What should we cover next? And actually, one of them that I'm really trying to figure out what to do next, because I've got some really cool groups. And I'll tell you, the groups of extant reptiles, a lot of those already occur to me, especially the big groups. But if there's a more narrow group you'd like to see. But what extinct group should I cover next? Or largely extinct group? I covered the Maniraptoran dinosaurs. It occurs to me to talk about maybe the Tyrannosaurids or the pterosaurs, ichthyosaurs, I don't know, the synapsid reptiles, all the groups of diapsids that are extinct now. I just don't know. What would you like to see? So let me know. Let me know if you have any ideas, because I could literally make videos about that forever. I could make a video about that every day for the rest of my life and not run out of things to tell you about. There's just so many cool things to discover. So anyway, and yeah, that's about it as far as that goes.
Agni Septonite, wow, sorry, sent a super chat saying, make more dinosaur videos. And how
Any groups in particular?
And how birds are reptiles.
Yeah, just upset people as many times as I can.
Toaster Weevil says terror birds.
I love that.
What is terror birds?
Terror birds are gigantic, flightless, carnivorous birds that came to kind of filled the gap left by the other theropod dinosaurs that had gone extinct in the period following the extinction of the dinosaurs, and they're super cool. Yes, terror birds would be awesome. And there may or may not be enough. Like I'd have to see if I'm going to talk about just the terror birds, or I talk about terror birds and their closest relatives and see where they fit in. Love it. That's a good one. That is a good one.
Should we do a lightning round?
Lightning round.
Tell everybody what we want to do for lightning round.
Lightning round is I am supposed to answer questions quickly. So if there are certain topics that often get me hung up. So like, don't ask me my opinion on what the best Star Wars movie is or what's wrong with Jurassic World.
Did you watch the latest?
I have not seen the latest Jurassic World movie. I will probably, but any time that I would go to see this Jurassic World movie is a time I could have seen Top Gun Maverick instead. I have seen Top Gun Maverick 4 times. This last Tuesday was the first Tuesday.
4 times.
4 times.
Jeez.
And I need to go with you guys because you haven't been yet.
Yeah, that's true.
Tuesday? You went?
I
That's
did.
right.
We
That's
talked
right.
about it, yeah.
That's right. We
Loved
did
it.
discuss that.
Okay, lightning round. Let's do it. Ask your questions, and I'll try to keep up.
Okay.
Okay, let's see. This is Nathan's Wildlife. Do a video on in depth on how dinosaurs went extinct.
That's a fun one. I like that.
Agni says, do you have animals that were born on your birthday?
Animals born on my birthday. I don't know. I got. Oh! These are not
Lightning
born,
round.
These are not born on my birthday, but I did just get a clutch of 10 ball python eggs from a baby that I produced, who's a daughter of Sunny. She is a blue-eyed leucistic, a lesser Mojave blue-eyed leucistic. I bred her to a mystic special blue-eyed leucistic. We are going to have, if they all hatch, 10 blue-eyed leucistic babies with 4 different types of blue-eyed leucistics that can come out. Lesser specials, so lesser crystals, mystic potions, and lesser mystic blue-eyed Lucies that are white with blue eyes.
Toaster Weevil says, Maverick was excellent.
Yeah, it's dang good.
Sherry LBW says, will you be at Tinley this year?
Jason, will we be at Tinley this year?
Probably. When is it, October?
I think so.
Okay.
We'll see how things are going with baby, but if all is well, I would really like to go to Tinley this year.
Sorbo125, have you watched Animal Planet?
Yes! Well, and if you're talking about the channel, it was one of the most exciting things ever when that came out when I was a kid, because before that I was always searching for animal documentaries. Then they had them all the time, and then they went, you know what, let's stop putting animals on Animal Planet. Let's change our slogan to surprisingly human. I think their slogan should be
Human
Animal Planet, surprisingly not about any animals but humans.
Okay, Newt Scamander says, how do you get a snake to poop like you did with Athena when I visited? Clint?
Well, first off, you spot that bulge, and then you take her outside preferably, and you recognize that if a snake's gonna poop in the next 24 hours, the first 5 to 10 minutes that you're holding it is probably when that was gonna happen. And I just kind of try to keep that vent pointed away from me, and I'll actually even kind of put a little bit of, like, kind of hold her just a little bit above that to put a little extra pressure, and she usually just, it's magnificent. And then she's safe for the next hour.
Would you do a hermit crab video since someone figured out how to breed them in captivity?
I would totes do a hermit crab video, especially with Josh's frogs, who I think are the ones that have captive bred hermit crabs right now. So, we'll talk. We'll be in conversation with them.
Do videos on more beetles, please.
Yeah.
Extinct crocodilians.
Oh, I like that very much. Those stinking rad terrestrial crocodilians. Yes, I'm actually strongly consider doing just a regular crocodilian video, but extinct crocodilians. How magnificent is that?
Shadow says, what's your favorite thing about the reptile hobby?
The reptiles.
Ray was here.
And sharing them with others.
Says, will you do a hatching video like snake discovery, please?
I don't know. You guys have never really cared that much about our hatching videos, it seems. And Snake Discovery does such a great job with it. I know that's like their bread and butter. We kind of do a different sort of content. But it's definitely something I would show potentially in a future live stream. If you guys want to see the clutch, that'd be awesome. And I'll consider it if there's enough interest in it.
Ian Overmeyer says, need to work on Clint's lightning skills.
Not very good.
I agree. Kyle Friend says, top 5 odd dinosaurs would be dope.
Yes, that would be dope. Write that down.
Agni says, have you ever been in the Baltics, and are you ever going to come over?
No, but that sounds great.
Let's see.
Are you writing a note on this? I cannot forget top 5, what was it, weird dinosaurs?
Top 5 odd dinosaurs.
Top 5 odd dinosaurs. I love that. Love that. Yes, doing a top 5 video like that, that's a different format, but still about dinosaurs, because I don't want them all to be the same format. Yes. I love that. Top 5 odd dinosaurs. Love that. Yeah. If we do Dinosaur December, I think you can almost count on that one.
This guy in Nature says, as an amateur photographer, how can I help scientists do their research?
There are a lot of things like iNaturalist and just places where you can submit about where you're finding things and what you're finding things and the kind of situations. That can help a lot.
All Canadian Girl, aka Clint's replacement.
Not Reptile Girl though. This is just all Canadian.
Oh, sorry, All Canadian Reptile.
Oh, okay.
That one, not the other one.
Yeah.
When are you getting into Maclot's Python?
No, I just anytime somebody sends one.
Aid Draconius says herbivorous extinct crocodiles. Smiley.
Yes, because they're on the list of rare extinct crocodilians.
Newt Scamander says more live streams the better.
We really need to do more of them. We'll try to make that more of a priority. Sorry, they've been so rare.
The Froggy Spud says, should I get a crested gecko?
Don't know. Is it the right pet reptile for you? If only there was a video you could use.
If only.
I'll try to sort that out.
Mermatic?
If you asked Emerald Tree Skink, the answer would just be yes, by the way.
Mermatic American says, could you do a video on worm snakes?
Maybe I would love to. I've never even seen a worm snake in person. That would be great.
Lazuli says, I'm late. How is the hobby in danger?
The hobby is in danger greatly because legislation is going through. It's been snuck into another bill to essentially make it impossible to move virtually every reptile species across state lines. And right now is the time to take action. First, by subscribing to the USARK YouTube channel and to show them that there are a lot of us that care. And also, you can go to the USARK website. They've got great information about how you can reach out to your local representatives and tell them, this needs to go because it has nothing to do with the bill that it's in.
Our man Rick says, top 10 extant dinosaurs, stealthily about birds.
Yes, top 10 extant dinosaurs. Like top 10 most raddestest or best pettest? How does this work?
Yep. Nathan's Wildlife says, make a video on the top 5 most deadliest dinosaurs that walked the earth.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Stealth Serpent says, hey, how's it going? Is a green-keeled belly lizard good for a beginner by any chance?
I would say a captive bred one is great. And I can tell you, we've got captive bred ones because we produced them this year. And they are, not only more likely to be healthy, but they are so much friendlier than their parents.
Dino Davy says, what reptile would you be if you had to choose?
What reptile would I be if I had to choose? Synapsid reptiles included? Probably be a person. But if we're not including the synapsids, I have to choose what kind of reptile I would be. Maybe a Komodo dragon or a Galapagos land tortoise at this point in time, not in the past.
Jay McNamara says, I'm thinking about getting a hognose snake. What do you think?
I think that's a great idea.
Zep Master says, what's your source for captive bred emerald tree skinks?
Well, currently the only emerald tree skink that I have that's captive bred came from me. So the parents, that's my source. I don't know of like a single breeder that's producing a ton of them. I know Frank Payne though, I think has gotten into them, and he's just a heck of a breeder. So I would say get on his wait list.
Jay Cayford Phillips says, best Star Wars movie. Sorry, Clint.
Best Star Wars movie?
Quick. Lightning.
Empire Strikes Back.
Okay.
Not even a hard question.
Stealtho Trapo says, should I get a Savannah monitor?
No. Well, wait. Do you have a space roughly like 50 feet by 50 feet that you can have part of it be like 140 degrees and the rest of it be like in the high 80s, 90s, and then you're going to feed it mostly arthropods, like huge, maybe like $70 worth of dubia roaches every day? Because if so, yeah, go ahead and get a Savannah monitor. They're really, really cool and great, but if you can't provide that, get something else.
We have a jet from Agne again. A video series of all countries' reptiles globally.
We did North America. Nobody cared, but I like it. I like it.
That is true. Nobody cares. Little Desert Boy says, make a budget challenge video.
Oh, that's a good idea. People seem to want us to do more enclosure builds, and I've noticed our enclosure build videos have gotten kind of popular. So maybe we should do more enclosure builds. We don't even think about doing them most of the time now, but maybe we should make it so. I've got some cool stuff for a desert enclosure I need to do.
Zachary Olerich says, when are you doing a video on tiger salamanders?
I totally should. Totally should. Haven't. It's the only salamander we have here in Utah.
Zaxif, what was your very first reptile?
A garter snake that I caught with my neighbors. I put it in a jar and set it on my porch while I ate dinner and came back out and found that jars with no lids don't contain snakes.
Anon says, hey Clint, have you ever considered collabing with Tier Zoo?
No, but it'd be fun.
I love Tier Zoo.
Yeah, Tier Zoo's cool.
And he has commented on a few of our videos.
I do have an idea, and I don't know if you guys would care at all, but I'm tempted to do a video about my 5 favorite YouTube channels that have like nothing to do with reptiles. Is that something you guys be interested in? Some of you guys see me, I'll comment on videos from some of my favorite creators, and they're like, what are you doing here? I didn't know you liked crazy Hot Wheels car racing. And Nerf guns? Oh, man. Now you know.
Gecko's Nest, what is the best pet?
Pet? Depends on who you are. But generally speaking, emerald tree skink.
Sherry Gorse says, chinchilla video?
Yeah, I should totally do one. Who doesn't like a dust bath?
Let's see. What Latte says, have you ever made an in-depth video of budgets frogs?
We haven't. We need to.
Jay McNamara. Sure. Says you and Tyler Nolan should do a video together.
We did. on monocled cobras. It's got Kilo in it. Tyler's awesome.
Let's see.
No, I will tell you, I got some flack for saying that, but he's a really great guy. So what can you do?
Do you like? This is Kate Warner. Do you like the Dilophosaurus from the Jurassic franchise or the real one better?
Real one. But I mean, you know, like most people think that the one in Jurassic Park is what they're like. It's just that they're not small, and we have no indication they spit anything, and they don't have frills.
Tana.
I did consider doing a video on them.
Tana Kyle did? Sorry, Tana. Sent a super chat saying, shout out to that monitor behind you, putting on quite a show.
Good job, Raptor.
Please tell us about this wonderful creature.
That is Raptor from Joseph Carter the Mink Man. If you watch our video on Argus monitors, she's in that. Also on Joseph's channel, he made a couple of videos, I think, all about her coming to live here. He's got tons of videos about her. She's amazing.
Toaster Weevil said, of course Clint likes Hot Wheels and Nerf guns. Of course.
Of course!
Bradish 5 or Bradish V, depending on if it's Roman numerals or not. Collab with Serpa Designs would be great.
I agree. Yep, Tanner, I'm up for that.
We all agree. Stealtho Trapo says, is that you on pitch meetings and Ryan George's videos?
Yeah, that's me.
Amanda Steak on It says, I'm thinking Jason doesn't like me. Sad day. I don't know if I missed your stuff. She says later on, a corn snake or crested video. Or crested gecko. Sorry.
There's a competition. Is that true, by the way, Jason?
I might not like her. I haven't met her to not like her yet.
Okay. So Jason's default is he doesn't like everyone. And then, if he meets you, maybe you can win him over. Corn snake or crested gecko? I personally, generally speaking, would favor snakes over lizards. Just as pets, because they're easier and I think more fun in general. But I love both, obviously, quite a lot. And crested geckos are very reasonable. It really depends on how do you feel about feeding mice to things? If rodent feeders are a deal breaker, crested geckos are the clear favorite. If feeding frozen thawed rodents to something is not a big deal to you, then corn snakes are much easier and I would argue more fun to handle.
She specifies for a kindergarten class.
Oh, corn snake. Crested geckos are a little bit fragile and stressed, and I don't think they're great for
Despite the
small
dardiness.
kids. The dardiness of corn?
Snake.
Corn snakes are very handleable for kids.
Um,
When it's little, it might be tough.
Tamsin Blackster says, emerald tree skinks seem like the most happy to be handled species you've ever shown, but you only scored them 3 out of 5 for handleability. How come?
Well, part of it was I was just getting to know them when we made that video. But part of it is also, and I don't think that's totally unreasonable, simply because if they don't want to be handled, they are not. You don't really handle an emerald tree skink. What happens is emerald tree skinks love you, and they want to come see you most of the time, and they hang out on you. They don't want to be chased. They don't want to be grabbed. You do what the emerald tree skink wants to do. And I've learned their behavior really well, so I'm pretty good at getting them to do what I'd want them to do. But if they don't want to do it, they don't. They just don't. And they're small and they're fragile. Hard for a kid to handle. They can drop their tails. There's some downsides to them. I do think they're absolutely the most fun animal to handle, maybe full stop. And a big part of it is the fact that you only get to handle them because that's what they want to do. So you're not inconveniencing them. That's their favorite activity. And if it's not their favorite activity at that moment, you don't get to handle them.
Justin Innocent Ball Python, what is the largest snake you've ever been bitten by? Love from Britain.
The largest snake I've been bitten by is a 13-year-old Brazilian rainbow boa named Minnie who lives here. It was the worst snake bite I've had. And if I had to pick on a given day between that snake bite and a fairly bad paper cut, I would definitely pick the snake bite.
Little Desert Boys says, turtles.
Yes, indeed. Agreed. People don't like turtles that well, I have discovered, but I do, so.
Raymond Jones says, do a video on elephant trunk skinks.
Snakes?
Snakes. Bleh.
I was excited to discover this elephant trunk snake. I agree, we've had them in one of our videos, but we don't have a full video on elephant trunk snakes. I do have a video coming up pretty soon, though, that talks about them again.
Let's see, this guy Natures says, on a scale of 1 to 10, how crazy does one need to be to have pet snakes?
On a scale of 1 to 10, how crazy?
Yep.
0. You don't need to be crazy at all. A snake is one of the most sane things you could possibly get.
But you're a weirdo, according to your other video.
Oh yeah, but being a weirdo is different than being crazy.
Okay.
Being a weirdo just makes you an interesting human being. Otherwise, you're just boring.
Let's see. Oh, I missed one. Where did it go? I
Is
liked
that a
it.
fact, Will?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I liked it. Let's see. Mike's Reptiles. What's the best pet beginner monitor after the Ackie monitor?
Oh, probably something like Timor monitors, which are comparably easy. They're just harder to handle.
Cam Gray is asking what the size of the monitor enclosure behind you.
That is 8 feet by 2 feet by 2 feet, which is not what I would recommend for her. I actually got that enclosure originally for the Burmese Python when we were waiting for it. But when Joseph needed somewhere for her to go in the very short term, I said, well, that's what I have available at the moment. Eventually, she's going to get Gus's, it's like 4 feet by 3 feet by 8 feet, something like that. And so that's where she's going to go. But I need to build Gus's new enclosure first.
Raphael says turtle power.
That is correct. Good name, too. Jason's just over there giggling. He can't even do more questions.
All right, I think we need to
Call it a day?
To start wrapping it up.
Well, this has been awesome. I'm glad we're back doing live streams. You guys, of course, know that super chats are the way to drag it on longer. So if you really want to stop us, that's the way to do it. But if not, thank you guys so much for being here. Make sure that you get over right now to USARK and subscribe to their channel. Go to the USARK website and find out how to contact your legislators, especially if they're on the committee that is going to be reconciling the two bills from the House and the Senate, because right now is our best opportunity to stop these Lacey Act amendments, because it's going to get really hard once they go through. Is that everything? I thought I saw a super chat.
There's a new super chat, so of
You
course
did it!
we're
You
going
did
to stick
it!
around. A horse running sent a super chat saying, "What would you say is the most underrated lizard? The green anole or the green anole?" Oh, the green anole or the green anole?
I would say, and I don't know if this is quite the same thing, underrated versus underappreciated, because the thing is, like, green anoles are available everywhere. People get them very often, so they're a lot of people get them. I think they are underappreciated for what they are, because they are very, very fun, very rewarding animals, and I think the fact that they're common and affordable and small makes people not recognize them for the really special animals that they are. Very interesting.
Another super chat.
Super chat!
Extending the
You're
live
doing
stream.
it! You guys know how to do this!
Josh Langley says, "Can you recommend a first tarantula that isn't likely to kick its hairs? And how long until emerald tree skinks are common in the hobby?"
Okay, I'll start with the emerald tree skinks. I think within the next 5 years, they're going to be one of the more common lizards that you see for sale, just because they're so darn great. Of course, that is assuming the Lacey Act amendments don't go through. And people are working with them, and their breeding seems to be very doable. I see a lot of people having success breeding them, and so they're great. As far as tarantulas that don't kick hair, a lot of the best tarantulas are New World tarantulas that do kick hair. A lot of the Old World tarantulas are pretty grumpy. And so but even, things like rose hairs and stuff, I would say generally, go and look at a tarantula. If it's got a big bald spot, that individual is a hair kicker. If it doesn't have a bald spot, it probably isn't, and it's unlikely to kick at you too much.
Toaster Weevil sent a super chat saying, "I am prolonging your suffering, Jason."
Well done, Toaster Weevil.
I
Now,
don't really have to pee.
At some point, Clint does have a
that's true. That's
meeting
true. That's
that
true.
he's gotta
That,
go
that
to.
actually starts pretty soon. But you guys are awesome. That's all of them, isn't it?
We're caught up.
Thank you guys so much for being here. As always, like and subscribe, not only to us, but to USARK. And we hope to see you real soon. Actually, I'm not quite ready to go because I got to figure out how to even end this. There we go. Goodbye, everybody.